So, consumable items. Let's go directly into the scripts. Let's go with inventory. We have our previous scriptable objects. We're going to do the same for our other items. We can't just keep them on the same scriptable object, I guess. But yeah, let's just make them separate, just to be safe. And let's see. Yeah, we already have an inventory scriptable object. Let's open this up. We should probably make an item or a separate item. Not this, we don't want this anymore. Items, let's see. Runtime, party. Yeah, let's kind of do the same as with our inventory manager. Let's do it in here. Okay, we have item, we have the weapons, we have our spells, so let's add one more for consumable items. Let's call this consumable. This will take from item as well. Oops. And we should do public. Let's think. Of course, we already have the item and, well, the item name, the description, and the icon. So we kind of want to only have a reference to the model, for example, the bottle on your hands and stuff like that. But yeah, we can do it the same way as we have our runtime weapons. So what I'm going to just say is I'm going to add the string and I'm going to call this consumable effect. Okay, let's leave it at that. Let's go into our scriptable object, and maybe inventory scriptable object is not really a nice name for this. Let's go and delete it, and we're going to create a new one. And let's create one that is called consumables scriptable object. And we want a scriptable object. And of course we want to have public list of consumable. Okay, and we can just have it then as objects. Consumables. Okay. Let's go into our scriptable object manager now. And we should just create an inventory. Let's call this create consumable. Yeah, let's maybe call this consumable as well. Let's think. And we're just going to take this spell item. This will be consumable. Consumable scriptable object. We might have forgotten to add something. Yeah, it's under, have their own namespace on them. So let's go change it. Over here, let's delete the box. Consumable scriptable object. Okay, close this. let it compile, then assets, inventory, create consumable list. So resources, consumables, scriptable object, and consumables. Let's add 3 for starters. Item name, Bestus, focus or whatever, and maybe let's add 1 for souls. We'll see what all of these are going to do when needed. It's one of these when they are consumed or when they are used. They're also going to have their own animation. Let's add that again into our consumable. Not this. We have everything we want from here. Let's add it in here. So we're going to add target animation. Okay. Yeah, let's stay with the target animation. Nice. So resource manager now. Let's create another dictionary, string, integer, and we should have now consume IDs. So load spells, load weapons, and let's do void load consumables. The same deal with the rest. Let's just copy all of this and let's drop them in here, and let's just switch all this. Consumable scriptable object. This will be consumable scriptable object as consumable, and in here we should have object dot consumables, and this will be this, and instead of spell IDs we want our consumables IDs. Okay, take this. Everywhere we calling load spells, this will also be calling load consumables. Nice. So let's go in here and say consumables. Let's copy paste these two, but instead we're going to say get consumable ID ID from string, and this will be consumable IDs, try and get value, and in here we should be returning a consumable item, get consumable. We're passing the ID. We don't want the spell, we actually want the consumable scriptable object. Consumable, let's put that in here. Let's do this. This will be now get consumable ID from string, and this will be consumables. Okay, so now we have the same deal for our consumable items. Awesome. Let's go now into our inventory, and same thing. We have our list for right hand weapons, left hand weapons, and we also have our spell items. So that will be public list, not light, list string consumable items. We want a list of runtime, not spells, but consumables. Let's see where we have our runtimes. I think, yeah, they are on their own script though. Yeah, so let's create a subscript runtime consumables. I'm going to bring also my, yeah, maybe I don't need it. Runtime spell item. Let me close all of this just to make sure I only have the ones I want. Runtime consumable. I want my inventory manager back, and also the action manager. Okay, so runtime spell, runtime consumables, namespace, SA. Delete all of this. Runtime spell item. So we're basically going to kind of do the same thing, which was going to be public consumable, or we know just instance, and then public game object item model. Yeah, well, I don't think we're going to need anything else. These two are going to be fine. Which also brings us into the point that we also need to have a prefab in here. Item prefab. Okay, so we have something to place it upon. And the same thing we are doing with the weapons, we should also be using this. So we have where they're placed. Left hand position, it's not really needed. If you want to add it, you can, but items will always be used from the right hand weapon, from the right hand. Okay, so it's not really needed to have both the left hand. And that has to do with items that actually, you know, show an item. For example, I think the souls, I maybe only have a particle or something, but they don't use anything else. So let's move on. Which, yeah, okay, we're going to work with this for in a bit. Let's go into our inventory manager. We are in the inventory manager, and we have the same way we have spell to runtime and weapon to runtime. We're going to do the same thing, which is going to be public runtime consumable so that will be consumable to runtime. We want to get our actual consumable, let's call it C. I think is left, yeah, we're not going to need any of this. So we can just do game object go instantiate C dot, actually, yeah. So runtime consumable, no, game object go new game object. Okay, I think runtime weapon instance where we are. Oh, we are just returning that. Okay, and we have yeah, go dot name will be set dot item name. Okay, we want to also add a runtime consumable. Return value will be go.add component runtime consumable. Let's do a return for the return value at the end, or the instance. Okay, it's going to be the same thing. Then on our return value, or let's just call it, yeah, let's be a little bit more consistent and let's rename this to instance. And instance, we're going to say instance dot instance new consumable, and now we have to copy the, we're going to do the intelligent thing to do, and we're going to do a deep copy for that and have it into our statics. Let's collapse all of it, and we're going to say public static void deep copy consumables, consumable. Okay, that will be consumable to consumable from to dot consumable effect from dot consumable effect to dot icon or whatever from dot consumable effect to dot yeah, we don't really care for, well, let's just take it, item description to dot item name from dot item description to dot item prefab, yeah, from dot, actually, yeah, let's do this, item 2 dot to dot models, no, item, yeah, model scale from dot model scale to dot model, whoops, this will be icon, to dot r dot model Oilers from dot r model Oilers to dot r model position from dot r model position. I think we have all of it. Let's make sure we do. And I count 6, which I also count 7. So we added one more. And no, wait. Yeah, we have the we also get the item description, which we don't really need at this point, but anyway, let's just keep it, it's not wrong. Okay, we have item prefab, model scale, model position, target animation, and consumable effect. We need the target animation as well, and that will be to dot target animation from dot target animation. Okay, deep copy consumable, we're going to go back into our inventory manager. We have our instance, and we're going to say deep static functions dot, I think we, no, yeah, this would be correct, deep copy consumable 2 will be instance dot instance, come on, and from, of course, is going to be set, well, from set, if that's the case, yeah, to from. Okay, so we have our consumable. Now, of course, we need to place it somewhere. We can do if instance dot item prefab is not null. Okay, create here. We'll do this in a second, but yeah, for the most part, everything we need to do is basically just go back, consumable to runtime. We can go back into load inventory in here. Okay, and before we do all of this, we can just say, let's do this above all of that, and we can say for, let's zoom in a bit, for consumables, let's get rid of the for consumables items dot count, we can say runtime consumable, and that will be consumable to runtime, and the consumable we want to return should be resources manager singleton dot get consumable. Okay, and of course we have the ID, which will be in here. Yeah, that's correct. And now we want to take that and add it basically into a list over here, which will be list consumable. Runtime consumable, runtime consume, and new list runtime consumables. Okay, so our consumables.add say in here, and now we also have our consumables. We don't have, I believe we don't have any, yeah, we won't have any icons at this point. So we also want to do an equip consumable the same way we are doing with equip spell. Basically it's going to be almost the same, as you can see. So I'm going to just say equip consumable, and this will be a consumable. Let's call this consume. Current spell, it's going to be, we want to have a public runtime consumable, which is going to be your current consumable. Okay, and in here I'm going to change this to this. Quick slot, we don't want the spell, we want the item, and this will be consumable. Oops, yeah, we want to be passing the runtime consumable instance dot icon. So this will also update our consumables. So I want to take all of this and put it down with after the spells, just so that we have some coherence. Okay, and we add all of this. We should also do if consumable items, or actually if we have any consumable items into a runtime, if consume.count is greater than 0, we shall also do this. We need an index as index public integer say index, and that will be if c index is greater than the r consume.count -1, c index will be your 0, and then we're going to be doing equip consumable, and that will be from your r consume your c index. Okay, let's test one of these. It's not really going to so much, it's just going to show you, it's going to update the icon. If we don't update anything, let's see what's going to happen. Okay, it's going to be empty. Let's create a consumable item. We already have one. For the bestus, let's just, I don't know, let's just assign one of these. These are for the gestures. Well, anyway, that thing. And I'm going to put in here on my inventory manager, I'm going to say into my consumables, the first one is going to be your bestus. Okay, and I have my icon right down as the item. So that means I also have the item, and which is also should have, as you can see in here, I have my runtime. Something didn't work. Yeah, this should have been passed. So let's go into our inventory manager. Let's see why this didn't work. Consumable to runtime, new instance, and you're doing a deep copy to from. Let's maybe do this reference, because I don't know why it didn't pass. Reference instance, new consumable, return instance in here. Let's see if this is going to work. Bestus. And it actually only passes the, not strange. To from. Okay, so on your instance, on your new instance, you're going to pass, you're going to get the updated one from the consumable, unless this comes empty. So let's see, debug.log set.icon, not icon, set.target name, target animation, consumable to runtime. Let's see, this comes from the resources manager, and maybe this also returns null for some reason. We'll see. Yeah, we have an error with loading at this point, which is weird. So as you can see, the consumable that comes in here is already empty, so this was correct. So we have another issue. Let's see where it is though. Consumable to runtime, consumable, final references. Oops. Or let's go pick definition or go definition. That's actually really weird. This should have been correct, at least. Let's debug the ID. And let's also debug .log object.consumables. Unless no. Well, maybe we forgot to add something. That's probably the case. Bug.log, all of this. I want the item name. Oh yeah. I think we did a dumb thing. Yeah, we actually didn't add any target animation. So the only thing that wasn't getting copied was the item name. Let's add something in the item description, and the target animation, let's call this use item. And let's see if that's going to get copied. Yeah. Debug log, this one is correct. Okay, and this one is correct. Okay, let's see if now you get copied on Bestus. Yeah, we just we have something on our static functions. We basically want to have target animations correct. Item name, this will be item name. Anyway, so everything works correct. Okay, clear this, clear, not clear, we have everything else. So now we can have behavior that runs with logic. So let's find one of the, let's go with the interactions. We have a few weapons here, we have a few actions here. In this case, we have use item and bestus. So let's go into the bestus and let's just rename this to bestus, and let's do this for both the target animation. And for souls, let's say use item. Okay, now clear this, let's go into our state manager. And I think we have also consumable item. Let's see where we use this. We already have, as you can see, the logic for detecting an item action. So that means we only need to fix this. So, you know, to properly fix this and make it so that we are actually using an item. Consumable item, let's say instead of getting our instead of getting an item action, let's do we use this anywhere else? Go definition. So we can actually delete this entirely right now because we have our consumables. Okay, this will give us an error on the state manager, obviously. Open this up, and instead of that, let's call this consumable, or maybe let's call this runtime. Or you know what? Yeah, we can just do consumable. Let's call it slot, and instead of getting from the action manager, we're going to say inventor manager dot current consumable. Yeah, let's go with runtime consumable. Runtime consumable. And the target animation is going to be slot instance dot target animation. Okay, and this will do basically everything you want to do. So let's test this. Let's add, let's see where if we have any errors. Okay, no. Let's add some different on our consumable items. Let's just add something else, any item, any icon, so that we know that they are changing. Let's say sort or whatever. Okay, let's go add them as items. Consumable item, let's go with 3. Bestus, let's change this to souls, and bestus focus, if that's the correct name. We'll see. Hit play. So when I'm going to press the X on the Xbox, yeah, it doesn't work. I see we have also another issue with if we're trying to change weapons and we don't have any weapons. So let's fix that as well. Handle to handed right hand weapon instance, and we're going to basically say if inventory manager dot right hand weapon is null, return, don't do anything. Okay, apart from that, let's close this. Let's see why we are not playing the actions. Control MO, and I'm going to say check for handle spellcasting. No, is input detect item action. Okay, item input false. Okay, let's do back.log, and yeah, I think I know what this is. Current consumable, I'm going to guess that we never assign it, although no, we are actually assigning it in here. Do we call this though? Yeah, we called it. Let's see. Yeah, we're never going into that behavior. We also have a few more stuff for when we're trying to change weapons. Change to next weapon coming from the inventory manager. Close this. Let's fix that as well. Consumable to runtime, change to next weapon. We're basically going to say that if is left, then if RL weapons dot count is 0, return, and if it's right, if R weapons dot count equals 0, then return again. Okay, collapse this, so this will be correct. And now we need to see why we again detect item action, why we never coming in here. Let's make sure that it's actually not one of these that empties it. Hit play. And yeah, we're never coming. Oh, we are coming here, but oh yeah, we should be checking for our action. So detect item action, detect item action. If you can move, then you are detecting the action. Do we want this though? Let's see. Maybe this will be can move. There is blocking. If we are in action, and if you can move and you're not on empty, and your move amount, okay, you're going to this. So maybe this will be just can move. Save. Minimize, hit play. And yeah, you can see that I'm basically using my item. Okay, so let's also fix the items and stuff. And let's see. Yeah, when we are creating a runtime weapon, a random spell, yeah, a random consumable, we want to go and also create any models. If you have a model, then create that one as well. So if you are in the prefab, it's not null. You're going to go and create a new game object, and not geo. Let's call this model, and that will be instantiate command, instantiate instance item prefab as game object. And we want our parent, which wall is going to be your right hand. States dot anim dot get bomb transform right hand. Okay, and then model dot transform dot parent will be the right hand, and then of course model dot transform dot local position is going to be instance dot model position. Model dot transform dot local rotation is going to be instance dot actually we want the local Eulers, local Euler angles, that will be dot r model Oilers, and finally model transform.local scale be instance.model scale. We need to store this into our runtime. Instance.item model dot model. Okay, so if you actually have assigned an item prefab, it's going to go and create it in the positions you are adding in here. If you want to be entirely safe, you can just say vector3 target scale. If target scale is 0, then just assign vector3.1 and assign the target scale in here. Awesome. So that will be that in your state manager, in your consumable, you can say slot dot or let's do an if slot dot model item model is not null, then slot dot item model dot set active. This one is going to be true. And well, the easiest way to fix this is the same deal we are doing in here. We're going to say if inventory manager dot current consumable is not null, and if inventory manager dot current consumable dot item model is not null, then inventory manager dot current consumable dot item model dot set active using item. So this can actually make it redundant to do this down here. So maybe we can just, let's see if this is going to work if we comment this out, because you know, why not, it's all to work, that's fine. So let's go and fix or make an item. We want to maybe, you know, write the weapon placer slightly different. Let's create an enum in here. Let's do it in here, it doesn't matter. Public enum weapon, or let's just call it save type weapon or item or consumable, you know. Let's do public save type, and in here we can say oh well, let's do it like this. Let's say oops, void save weapon. Let's take all of this. Paste it in here, drop this, not using it yet. I'm going to do a switch, save type. Okay, we have our weapon, that will be, save weapon, and we're going to copy this function, and we're going to call this save consumable, save consumable, drop this one in here, and we're going to say weapon model is null. Okay, we want this to be consumable scriptable object, pass the name, pass the type. We don't have weapons all, we want to have consumables. Item name is going to stay the same, consumables, and this will be consumable. Okay, and now we don't have any left hand, so that is not going to be needed. Delete this one as well, and because we have the same names, we basically say that we can use the same one. Weapon ID, it's going to be, yeah, it's called weapon ID, but of course you need to be passing the consumable name instead of the weapon ID. So we can just, maybe we can change this to Ctrl+R and let's just call this item name. Okay, and that replaced anywhere we had it. Maybe let's rename this to target model and everything. Okay, let's call this the save item. Okay, so this will also work for either your weapon or your item, depending on what you have saved on your save type. So with that, and I have a bottle model into my items. You will find it in the resources folder. On our controller, let's see, and on our right hand helper, let's create an empty. I'm going to call this Bestus, and I'm going to take my bottle and drop it down here. That's way too big. Let's try and fix it somewhere, somehow, or whatever. Let's call it a bottle. All, you know, that's basically the amount of coffee I need. Somewhere in here. Anyway, you can do a better job than me to this. Maybe make it a little bit bigger. Well, anyway, you got the idea what I'm trying to do. Place it in the correct position. Since this is 0, 0, 0, you can place this anywhere. It shouldn't really matter. So I'm going to take this and make a prefab out of this. I've actually already have a prefab. So I'm going to do this again. And I'm going to, this only have a different material. We're going to fix that later. Okay, and on my weapon placer, I'm going to take the model. I'm going to write Bestus. I'm going to change this to item and then hit save item. Okay, we have saved our item, and you can see that it basically saved the scale, but because it was at 0, 0, 0, 0, the model scale is basically the only thing that was changed. If I move this somewhere else and go to my weapon placer and save the item, you can see that it works, but at 0, 0, 0, it worked just fine. Now, let's also save this back, because this is also a prefab. I can basically go and change the material. Let's make this to yellow for the Bestus, for the health anyway. And we can hit apply. Let's copy this, or let's make another prefab from this. Bestus. I'm going to call this Bestus focus. We can just change the material from here, and instead of yellow I have some blue. Yeah, blue. Okay, and this we can delete this. So resources, item prefab. Let's find our item prefabs, Bestus and Bestus focus. Since this is the same position, I can just do this. It shouldn't really matter. And for the sole items, we can leave it at that. It shouldn't really matter. Yeah, let's test this now. and we forgot to close something, I believe. No, we didn't. On our runtime, when we actually instantiate the weapons, we forgot to close their items. So that will be into our inventory manager. Into over here, we should say instance.itemModel.setActive to false. Hit play. Okay, and now we also have our bottles. Well, okay, positioning should probably be a little bit better, but as you can see, it works fine. What we should also add though is into a runtime consumable, we can also add public integer, basically how many we want to have. For example, we can say item count. Okay, let's start this with 2. And into our inventory, not our inventory manager, into our state manager, when we are checking all of this, we're going to check into our current consumable. We should also do a check if inventory manager.current consumable is null, then do nothing, return. And if inventory manager.current consumable.item count is 0 or less than 1, then also return, or play another animation, you know, it just plays another animation that it doesn't have an item. Okay, so if you are going to use the item count, you can also say, and actually we can also add a public bool in here. Let's say public bool unlimited count, final references, unlimited count, and we can say and inventory manager dot current consumable dot unlimited count is false. Okay, it's going to return. Otherwise, take all of this, all your item count, and basically do a minus. So we don't need this anymore. And we have all of this. Okay, so we have all of that, but there's one thing that's missing. And that is that, oops, no, but we don't want that. Okay, we want to also add the effects. And we also want to be able to change items. And I'm basically ran out of bestus, as I can see. For some reason I have 2 bestus though. Anyway, but you can see that the item count is basically at 0, therefore I cannot use them anymore. Let's make it so that we can actually change change items. And it's going to basically be almost the same as changing a spell. Change to next spell. As you can see, let's copy all this, and instead we can change this to change to next consumable, and we want C index runtime consume, or let's make sure we have the name correct, consumable C index, and instead of equip spell we can just do equip consumable R consume C index. So we need to find where we are calling this from, and that will be the same place where we are calling this, almost. Okay, D up, so we have if D down, if not P D down, P D down will be true. So states inventor manager dot change to next consumable. Okay, and that will give us the arrow that changes the item. Let's close this and hit play. And I can now change my to, well, I have 3 items. I don't know how many items I have. Oops. So let's see. By the manager, we have Bestus, Sols, and Bestus Focus. Let's see though onto our actual inventory. Have Bestus, Bestus Focus needs to be Bestus Focus. Okay, and this will change all the rest. And changing this, we now, you can see the 3 different icons we have. You can change the icons to whatever you want. Of course, you can create them with the icon maker. I just didn't have the time to do it yet. So this is the Bestus Focus. This is the Bestus the normal, and this will be the use item. Okay, which is also pretty cool. So now we need an effect, or how this will act, or you know, how they're going to actually affect your character. To do this, it's kind of the same thing as with our spells. So let's take a look into what we have done with the spells. Or maybe it's better if we do the... I actually want to go and check my spell manager. Spell effects manager. Okay. And we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to keep it, we're going to create it as a separate script. Instead of having the spell effects manager, we're going to say item effects manager. Reload all, namespace, close this, delete all of this. Let's write the public static item effects manager. Let's make the singleton void awake. Is this, and we need a dictionary, string, and integer. We should be having effects. Oh yeah, let's just call it effects. New dictionary string ID, and we can just say public void do effect or cast effect or whatever. Cast effect. You want to pass the state manager because we can find everything into the state manager, but we also want to be passing in here. We also want the string to be the effect ID and void init effects ID. So for example, we want to say that effects dot add Bestus, the normal thing, okay, it's going to be value 0, the first ID. Effects dot add Bestus focus will be 1. Effects dot add Sols will be 2. Sols, since sols are basically at different tiers, so some sols might give 10, some sols might give 1,000 of sols. Yeah, you can keep them as separate items, which are separate items. So in here you can say switch. In here you also need to do integer get int from ID. You'll be passing the string ID. You have your index going to start as -1, and then you're going to try and parse it. If effects.try try get value, the ID from, try get the index, and basically we just want to return the index and then return index if this was an error. So integer target integer, let's go with I, get int from ID, effect ID, and if I is lower than 0, return. That means that the effect you're trying to access is doesn't exist inside your dictionary, so the index is -1. And we can also do over here, let's also add it, debug.log effect ID plus doesn't exist, or maybe call it effect doesn't exist. Okay, and in here we can say I case 0 break, case 1 break, case 2 break, and you can have as many as cases you want. You can have projectiles, you can have weapons, you can have everything. And okay, these are going to be stuff. So let's create let's write a region in here. No, let's only make a region for effects actual, and we want to add bestus, which is basically just add health in this case. And you want to have, you're always going to be passing the state manager states void add focus, state manager states, and void add souls or whatever, state manager states. Okay, and you can have any effects you want. Now, for the purpose of the actual health, focus, and stuff like that, I'm going to the realization that the actual health, or how much you store your health, you restore your health, is probably based, it has something to do with a constant value inside your character stats, because there's items that affect that. So yeah, in short, what I'm going to just say, public float health, let's make it so over here, health recovery value, let's go with 60 or whatever, public float health, no health, focus recover value will be, let's say, 80. Anyway, you know what I mean. And let's add one integer, let's add souls, or public float souls. Okay, souls, of course you can have as many as you want, and if you die, you're dead. So back to where we were, it would have been really helpful if we didn't change the order. At health states dot character stats dot health, will be plus states dot character stats dot health recover value. Copy all that, and instead of health, change this to focus, recover value. Okay, so and souls, let's just say states dot character stats dot souls 1000, although we don't actually we haven't hooked our souls with the inventory, with the UI. We're going to do that as well. So okay, basically we're saying that maybe we can take this above and place it in here. So if you have problems with the integer, remembering, just add a comment over here. The reason why I don't want to use the IDs directly, the strings, is because strings are really slow to search through whole list or to compare our list. So we're basically just taking the ID. We're using a dictionary, which is why it was made for, to get, you know, to quickly iterate through lists without having to mess with well, you know, with variables that are pretty slow to compare, because a string is basically, if you have 5 characters, this is 6 characters, it's basically is comparing, I'm going to guess that every character is an 8-bit, although I guess it's going to also depend on the format anyway, but it's basically, this is going, if each character was at 5, it has, well, for one character you have 8 integers to compare with another 8 integers, so that will do 8 comparisons, multiplied by as many as your what you have in here. For example, this has 6, so that will be 8 multiplied by 6, that will be 48 comparisons with an integer, versus the only one comparison with the integer that we do in the dictionary. Okay, simple as that. That's why we're using this. So that will also be add health, pass the state manager. We have focus, add health, pass also, not add focus, should be add focus, states, and also add souls, pass your states. So we need to also call this. Obviously we need to have the item effects manager inside our scene as well. Add component, item effects manager. Nice. So into our items, consumable, let's go consumable effect, bestus focus. Okay, these are case sensitive because it's basically our events. Consumable item, let's go with not false, souls. Okay. Or, well, you know, you can have 5 different souls in here and just append into a different effect. Nice. So let's see. We also need to call this into the state manager. Now, if you want to cast the effect, it's going to be entirely up to you, to be honest. Where do you want to cast the effect? If you, okay, let's hardcode it, not hardcode it. Let's see it first like this, where it's going to be getting applied, and yeah, I lost my item actions, I believe. Detect item action over here. Okay, consumable count. Let's say that you have consumable. Forgot the name. Item effects. item effects manager singleton dot cast effect. The effect ID, of course, is going to be what we have into our slot instance dot consumable effect, and the state manager is going to be this. We're going to start with a little bit of lesser health. In this case, well, okay, let's start with start manager. This is the health. Okay, it doesn't do anything because we are full health. This is the souls, so this will be the focus for. Let's make it so we have less focus. Okay, we have 20 focus. I'm going to use the item, and that didn't work. I think we forgot to add something. Let's see why this didn't work. Actually, I want to change this, the health, focus and stamina, to be independent for a little bit. So on the init current stats, I'm just going to remove this. And add effects. Oh yeah, init effects ID, we forgot to add it, so we also need to add this in here, and then we're going to have our souls. Close this. We're going to have our effects, not our souls. Okay, we have 0 everything, but you can see that I've used my health, but as you can see it's almost instant, so it's not what we want. That's our focus, and that's our next focus. So what we can say into our state manager, do we use this? We use this. Well, you know, you can just come in here and say the same way we save the action, current action. We can just say hide inspector public string current item effect. Okay, then on my animator hook, or actually, you know what, maybe we can store the entire item, so you are not also losing this. So I'm going to delete this, or actually, yeah, let's delete this, and I'm going to say current consumable consume is going to be your inventor manager current consumable. Well, okay, we can store it in here, or we can just access it from the invader manager, and you might be able to hack it though, so that you know, while you're using your item, if you change your item, it's going to use another item, so that might not be the correct, but you probably shouldn't be able to change items while you're using an item. Anyway, so let's just do it like that, at least for now. We should go controller, animator hook, collapse everything, and down here let's say public void consume item or consume current item, and that will also make it so that if you have states, then states, let's do if states.inventor manager current consumable, so states.inventor manager current consumable dot item count minus, and we should do effects item effect manager dot singleton dot cast effect states dot inventory manager dot current consumable dot instance dot consumable effect, and the states you want to be passing is of course the states you have saved. Okay, that's how it is. Simple. Now we need to assign this. Let's call this current item, and we're going to call this with an animator event. So again, it can make it so that we have animator animation boxman. Let's find the actual animation we want to use. And it should be Bestus. Okay, it gets the weapon, it gets the item, and in here you can say add animation event, consume current item, and he's going to assign the health when he is at this point. And what else we can also do on our use item, over here, add animation event, consume current item. Okay, close it. And now I want to go and hook up on my UI manager. I want to also add my source. So I'm going to say public integer, not integer, public text source. And let's see where we actually assign this. Yeah, on tick. So you can just say source.text will be your stats.source.toString. I think for the actual source, yeah, you know, it kind of lerps. Well, okay, let's do it like that then. It's going to basically just be a little bit less of it's kind of going to waste a little bit of performance to do this, but anyway, let's maybe save this integer current source, and we want to do all of this like this to string, and we want to do current source to current source one have lerp from current source to stats.source delta multiplied by lerp speed. Yeah, run to int. Okay, and this will be now current source text stat source. That will be current source dot to string. Okay, and we should probably also, yeah, we can change this to a lerp as well, so it's a little bit smoother. Health.value to stats.health to delta by lerp speed, let's go by 2. Let's do the same for the focus, for the value. mathf.lerp focus.value stats.focus delta multiplied by lerp speed by 2. So it actually feels faster than changing it faster. Okay, and the stamina can stay the same since stamina adds every time anyway, every frame anyway. Let's take the current source from here though and place it, store them somewhere in here. And when we are initialize, well, you know, when we are initializing the slider, we can say current source will be no. Okay, let's just do this like this. We need source integer value, current source will be your value, and oops, where we are calling this now init source over here, init source, and your value is going to be maybe let's say where we're using this effect all. Okay, down here, so you can say character stats dot source. Now this is a little bit redundant. We have some code that we don't want. UI manager dot singleton, and let's just assign this to UI. Oh, we have stored our source as floats, so we want to change this to integer. I think we're going to be fine with this now, hopefully. Yeah, that's probably the last thing. Oh, we need to assign, of course, the source, and that will be into our canvas, bottom right, boxes. Yeah, we have them as boxes anyway. This is the text we want. Let's go UI manager, assign the text. Hit play. Okay, 0 health, 0 focus, stamina gets updated every time. We have 0 souls, health, souls, focus, beautiful. So with that, I'm just going to end the video here. We've seen what we've seen. We've seen this is really powerful because we can do any effect we want on our items, even throwable and projectiles and stuff like that. We're going to see those. Yeah, we're going to see that into a different video though, because we have covered everything I want to cover. But basically, it has to do with the effects and the items. Well, basically consumable items as well. And I'm all out. Okay, so you know what to do. Like, subscribe if you like what you see and want to see it continue. The only way that I can and I'm able to do all this stuff is with your support. You can support me either on Patreon, where you also get additional rewards depending on the tier you're pledging, and the other way you can support me, of course, is via Gumroad by getting a project or two. So I'll see you on the next one.